If you just got your first DSLR or mirrorless camera and you don't know where to start, well, you're in the right place. This is Doug Gabbard, practicing photography. I've been doing photography for quite a while as a hobby and a little bit of professionally on the side. So let's look at your camera. There's a couple things you want to get set right away. As soon as you get out of the box, it's going to be set to automatic. Let's leave it there. You want to charge your battery and put your battery inside the battery case. Make sure it's fully charged. Get a memory card. Mine happens to have 2 memory cards. Put your memory cards in the slots and get that closed up. Once you've got it all charged up and you've got your cards formatted, I'll show you here briefly how to format a card. You use the menu on your camera. Don't use your computer, use your camera. It will format it for the format that it likes. That way you're guaranteed the camera will be happy with the memory card. With that said, like I said, leave it in automatic. You'll get videos that says go to manual, do all this. You just got your camera. Let's just get taking pictures. If you watched last week's video, I had you start in automatic. I had you hopefully buy extra memory cards. If you didn't, I'll put the link down below so you can get extra memory cards, get an extra battery if you can afford it. But if not, let's just work with the one battery you have. So we started in automatic mode. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you just spent money on an expensive camera, leaving it in automatic, well, it's like buying an airplane, but just driving it on the road. It'll get you places, but it's not going to do you any good. You bought something that can do more. So let's learn how to do more. So we're going to start learning about the exposure triangle a little bit. There are 3 settings, or there's 3 things that are in the exposure triangle. One is shutter speed. Second one is aperture. And the third one is going to be your ISO. Yeah, 3. 1, 2, 3. ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. The best way to learn these is these are the tools for your creativity in photography. All the best photographers out in the world, that's the tools they use. Now, some of their cameras have some advanced features and can really take extra advantage of those, but at the end of the day, they're working with those 3 settings to get the effect they want. For example, if I want something that's moving really fast to be frozen, say I'm taking photos of a soccer game and I want the soccer player to be tack sharp, I'm going to want shutter priority or a fast shutter speed. If you're just starting out, going to manual mode is very difficult and you're probably going to miss a majority of your shots. So I recommend using something like shutter priority. I have a Canon camera and I am on shutter priority right now, which is TV. I believe Nikon, Olympus, Sony, they put the letter S for shutter speed. Canon uses TV, that's what they use. So let's just start there today. Shutter speed, priority, put it on TV. You'll also have an option for ISO, whether it's on manual or automatic. It by default out of the manufacturer will be on automatic. So if you have not adjusted that, you should be good. If not, find your ISO setting and make sure it's set to automatic. That way, all the dialing that you're doing is dealing with shutter speed, and you can maintain a fast shutter speed, and the camera will make the decisions on the other 2 settings. So this is where we're getting to the creativity. So let's stop there today. Last week I had you shooting in automatic. This week I want you to shoot in shutter priority. Go to shutter priority on your camera, whether it's TV or S. Make sure ISO is in automatic and your aperture will be in automatic by default, and start taking pictures. Hey, welcome back. Hopefully you made it through week 1 and week 2. Week 1 was shooting in automatic. Week 2 was shooting in aperture priority and learning one of the legs of the exposure triangle. The exposure triangle is shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. And like I mentioned in last week's video, that's where you get in the creativity. If you're an automatic, the camera does all the work. It does all the creative choices, and it may not make the choices that you want. So last week we were talking about fast moving subjects. I gave an example of a soccer player. It could be a fast moving car, it could be wildlife, a bird. Shutter priority is probably where you want to be. So let's talk about another leg of the triangle. The legs that give you the most creative output is, 1 is shutter speed, and number 2 is the aperture. Aperture defines, or it decides what's going to be in focus and what's not going to be in focus for depth of field. So if I want my eyes in focus, okay, with my ears a little bit out of focus, I want a very small number on my aperture, which is going to make the aperture open up a lot wider. I was helping some high school students in a demo and explained to them, they really liked it. If you look at your pupils, I've got a light shining right now, so my pupils are pretty small. So that's a small aperture, or a large number, which means my pupils close. So that's my aperture in my eyes. If it's really dark, your pupils will open really wide to let more light in. So your camera's the same way. Think of your pupils as your aperture. If you are wanting to get a background out of focus, you want a small aperture, 2.8, 1.4, something lower, 2.0. If you got a medium-sized DSLR mirrorless, it's entry-level camera, maybe $500 to $700. You probably got a kit lens that came with it. It's probably got a 2.8 as the smallest. So if you go to that, that will give you a blurry background and sharp intact focus on what you're focusing on. So let's try aperture priority. Leave the ISO in automatic still. Shutter speed will be an automatic because you got on aperture priority. So if you look at my camera, my Canon camera right now, I'm on shutter priority. So if I go one dial this way, I am now on aperture priority, AV. Some cameras like Sony, Olympus, Nikon, it'll just be the letter A. So be careful. If you have another A on there, it might be green. That's automatic. That's not aperture priority. That is automatic. That was week number 1. If you like these videos, appreciate you hit the like and subscribe. Use my affiliate link down below for extra memory cards. All right, we're on week number 4. We started with automatic, then I had you on shutter priority, then I went to aperture priority, and guess what? We don't have an ISO priority. There is no such thing. There is a setting called P for program. It kind of acts like ISO priority, but here's why you don't really have an ISO priority setting. The creativity, like I said last week, all happens with shutter and aperture. If you're wanting a portrait, you're going to be an aperture priority if you're not in manual, so that you can control the aperture. You can also control the ISO, or you can put it in automatic, but either way, aperture is going to control what's in focus front and back. If you've got a large group of people, you're going to want a smaller aperture or a larger number, maybe up in 5 to 6 range. If you're wanting an individual portrait, you're probably going to want a low, like 2.8. That'll allow the background to be out of focus and the person in focus. Shutter priority we covered in week 2. That is for fast moving subjects. If you want motion blur, you can also use a slower shutter speed. We didn't talk about that, so there's a little twist for you. If you have done nothing but fast shutter speeds for motion, try some motion with a slower shutter speed, and we'll have some fun assignments on that later. But realize you can also use shutter speed to introduce blur on purpose. And then on week 1, we're in automatic. Now, something I've taught in my club for many times and that we've been out, while I'm teaching you these different features and you're adjusting your camera, at the end of your shoot, it's okay to put it back in automatic, because when you grab your camera because you have your son or your daughter, grandchild, or animal that you just saw, you need to grab a picture of it. If it's in some crazy setting and you don't know how to change it back to automatic or to whatever quickly, you're going to miss a shot. So put it back in automatic when you get done until you get really good at these different apertures, shutter speeds, and ISO settings, whether you're in manual or one of the other semi-automatic settings. If you're liking this, hit like and subscribe down below. This is Doug Gabbard, practicing photography, getting better one photo at a time.